So what I did is my first thoughts were to plan a debate where we could get people arguing for and against a particular method of using electricity. So I focused on, and originally I wanted to make it quite broad, but then I realised as I sort of went through it, I needed to give them a real direct focus on what they were going to do. So the way I set it up was that they were going to be sort of a government advisor, basically, and they had to write a written report on nuclear power, whether or not the government should build more nuclear power stations. So that was going to be the end product over a period of lessons. To start that process, I needed to take it back to the very beginning and get them thinking about, first of all, what are arguments for and arguments against? But not only that, what makes an argument valid and what makes it a reliable argument? What makes it an important argument for or against? So my first activity really was to give them, I got each group to create a big spectrum from all the way from strongly against to strongly for, and then sort of a continuous spectrum in between, and gave them a huge number of statements about nuclear power. Or we tried with wind power first, actually, to get them practicing the method. And I got them to glue them on this line of strongly for or against, wherever they thought it felt. So some of the bits of information they had were just facts, just statements, like the first wind turbine was built in 1991 in Cornwall or something. So hopefully they would have spotted that as just not for or against it goes in the middle, and then a number of other things. And that was the basic idea. And from that, they would then go off and start saying, well, I think this is a really strong argument for. Well, how would I now validate that? Well, I'd go away and get data, maybe from scientific data, to back up that particular thing, and then got them to build their argument from that point, really. We haven't got to the point where they've done the written report, but they have done the whole bit with the spectrum and their different, getting their different bits of data to go with that. And that was the plan. That was the plan of the lesson. In terms of how it's gone, it's really useful for me, because actually some really interesting things came out about arguments for. In the past, it's always been very much a case, and we've all made PowerPoints or delivered lessons where these are the arguments for, these are the arguments against. We don't talk about why they're like that or discuss it in any way. And it became really interesting that depending on who you were and what your position in society would be, building a nuclear power station, somebody's argument for is somebody else's argument against, and sometimes you can use the same piece of data to make an argument for or against it. It's much more complicated, actually, than this just for or against thing. And